Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Inspirational Post by Soulah, also known as Tips. As per usual, my name is Soulah. For those of you that are new here, welcome, welcome, welcome. And what we do on this podcast is review Christian books or inspirational books and always read them through the lens of the Bible. We're currently reading The Atomic Habits by James Clear. It's an amazing book, and today we're going to be discussing we're going to be exploring chapter 5 today of the book The Atomic Habits by James Clear, and the title of chapter 5 is The Best Way to Start a New Habit. This chapter for me is a game changer because if it just teaches us how to actually build something real and habits that actually last. Okay. We're going to be talking about things like implementation intention and habit stacking. So please do stick around and please do watch this episode to the end. Let's get right into the 10 key takeaways from this chapter, which will both be practical steps and also some biblical truth just to guide us as well as we incorporate those new habits. Number 1, implementation intention. This gives your habit a plan, not just a wish. So he talks about implementation intention in his book. James Clear sort of says that we need to clearly define how we intend to change our habits by writing it down. Not just, for example, I'm going to start going to the gym or I'm going to eat better, but what would I eat? When will I start my healthy diet? How will I track it to make sure that I'm up to date with my macros and things like that? For those of you that are very health conscious, you know what I mean by macros. And tying that to the Bible, the book of Habakkuk, chapter 2, verses 2 to 3, actually says, I'm going to read that. So it's Habakkuk chapter 2, verses 2 to 3 says, Then the Lord answered me and said, Write the vision, make it plain on tablets, that he may run who reads it. Verse 3, For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it will speak, and it will not lie. Though it tarries, wait for it, because it will surely come, it will not tarry. But what I want to sort of emphasize on is the writing your vision down and making it plain, which is the same thing that James Clear is saying in this book when it relates to implementation intention. Write it down, be specific. What will I eat? How will I track it? And when will I start? We need to encourage ourselves to actually write things down, as the Bible also encourages us to do as believers. Make it plain, make it clear. And, that would help us sort of remind ourselves of whatever habits or goals that we've set in place for ourselves. Writing your habit down as well as a believer is actually an intentional act of faith as well. It's an intentional act of faith. You're saying that I believe that this change will come and I'm preparing for it. So when it happens, you can go back and say, oh, I actually wrote this down X, Y, and Z months or years ago. Hopefully it's not years, hopefully it's months. And it's something that I've been doing. I've been journaling a lot. And when certain things happen, I actually go back to my journal and I'm like, oh my God. This is what I heard the Lord say to me the other day, or this is the dream that I had, or this is what I said that I would do, and I've actually done it. So guys, as believers, I'm encouraging us, as well as James Clear is encouraging us, to write our visions down and make it clear. Number 2. As I said, just follow up from number 1. Write it down because it actually also brings clarity. So what he's saying is that writing our habits is not just a productivity hack. It would help you have clarity, and also from a spiritual angle as well, spiritual clarity. God tells us, as I said in Habakkuk, to actually write this vision down and make it clear, so that we may run with it. So it says, write the vision and make it plain in tablets, that he may run who reads it. So you're reminded of what you've written down. It encourages you to keep going. It's a form of motivation. It brings clarity to the goal that you've set for yourself. So guys, write the habits down, write the routine, Be specific, be clear. I think that's what I said in my previous episode about being specific with certain things that we write down. And my prayer is, as you write things and as you document things, at the end of the day, it will speak, as the Bible has said as well. Number 3, most people don't lack motivation, they lack clarity. So what James Clear is saying is that people often think that they lack motivation, but actually what they lack is clarity. It's not about wanting more. It's about defining it better. What does more look like? What does more look like? He's encouraging us to sort of write these things down, because also he says in his book that researchers have found that intentional planning actually leads to more success. So if we're not vague with our visions, if we're not vague with the habits that we're trying to change, what James Clear is saying is that researchers have found that there's more success attached to things that are clearly documented and properly defined. Number 4, so James Clear has given us a very simple formula for implementation intention. So if we're going to intentionally implement these new habits, he's given us a formula in the book, and he's said the simple way to apply this strategy to your habits is to fill out this sentence: I will, and then he has in brackets the behavior that you're looking to change or you're looking to work on, at, in brackets, time, in brackets, location. So the 3 key things in this formula are the behavior, the time that you're going to achieve it, and the location. So, for example, I will walk for 20 minutes round the park. So I've given what I intend to do, which is walking. I've put in 20 minutes, and I've put the location, which is the park. Or, a better way actually would be, I will walk for 20 minutes every Monday at 7 a.m. round my neighborhood, for example. That's a clearer one, because I've given all the different types of the different times. Yeah. So for example, my friends and I, 3 of us, so 2 of my friends, been talking about walking for a while, and it's summer. We've been talking about how we've lived in London for so many years, and we've never really explored London. So we said, what's the best way to actually explore London instead of going to random restaurants and eating expensive food? We actually want to see things. So we said, you know what, let's start walking. The weather is nice, it's summer. Let's walk from one station to the other and just discover London. So last weekend, we got the train to Green Park, and we walked from Green Park to Stratford. It was a 5-hour, 15-minute walk, and it was about 18 kilometers, and it's hands down one of the best things I've done for myself. We went through the woods. There was some hiccups. But we set the goal. It was clear. We said we're going to walk and explore London. We picked a date and a time. Everyone was to meet at the station for 8:30, and the location was meet at wherever station that we were going to meet. I'm not going to say it so people don't come find me at that station. I'm joking. But it was clear, it was specific, and everybody was on time. So guys, also what's important is to set realistic goals for yourself. But yeah, we implemented the plan successfully because it was clear. It wasn't vague, it was clear. Number 5, timing matters. People are more hopeful at the start of a week, month, or year. That's one of the things that James Clear says in his book. How everyone says, New Year resolution, and then some people actually follow through for the rest of the year. Some people just do it for maybe the first few months or weeks. But what he's saying is that we should capitalize on fresh starts. James Clear says in the book that hope is higher, maybe for example at the start of the week, month, or year. So we should sort of capitalize on that. So for those of you, maybe perhaps you're watching this or you've read the book and you don't know where to start, he's saying start from there. Start from the top of the week. Start from the beginning of the month. Start from the beginning of the year. Number 6, hope leads to action, James Clear says in his book. And I'm just going to give us a quick biblical reference. In the book of Colossians 1 verse 27, I'm going to read that. To them God willed to make known what are the riches of the glory of this mystery among the Gentiles, which is Christ in you, the hope of glory. So that's what I wanted to highlight. Christ in you, the hope of glory. So James says, hope leads to action. Christ in you, the hope of glory. So dear friends, combining the wisdom of James Clear and our biblical reference, the one source of truth, Christ, which is hope, leads to action. Simple. Through Christ, you always have a reason to take action. When I read that part, I was like, oh my God. For me, that's very powerful. Christ in you, the hope of glory. With Christ, you always, there's hope. It just leads to action, you know? So whatever habit you're trying to change, whatever, new habits you're trying to form, putting Christ in the center, holding on to hope in Christ would lead to action. Also, the book of Psalms 31:24 says, be strong and take heart, all of you that hope in the Lord. It's a very strong reminder that those that hope in the Lord will be strong. Those that hope in the Lord would be strong enough to take action. Just putting everything together. Those that hope in the Lord would be strong enough to take action. Number 7. Now, I don't know if I'm going to murder this name because he's French. It's a French name, but I'm going to give it a go. Don't come for me if you're French. Don't come for me if you know how to pronounce the name. Number 7, the Diderot effect, which simply is that one action can lead to a whole chain reaction. So James Clear talks about the Diderot effect, which is named after an 18th century French philosopher, Denis Diderot, who experienced the act of acquiring, a new possession, which triggers a cycle of further consumption, leading to the desire to buy more things because you've got to complement the new item that you've bought. Women, we do this. We buy a new dress and then, we feel like we need to buy new shoes to go with the new dress. We need to buy new wigs, or, we need to do our hair to fit the sort of dress that we bought. We need to buy a new purse to go with the dress and the shoe. For our mommies that like shoe and bag, we know how this works. So he talks about the Diderot effect, which is one action leading to a whole chain reaction. I think what had happened in the book, from recollection, is he had bought a very expensive gown. And then, he had to keep buying things to complement this new gown and his new acquired taste, because he had just come into some money from recollection. And he's just telling us that having the Diderot effect at the back of our minds, one habit can spark many other habits. So it's important that we form good habits that actually benefit us, and we make it intentional, because as we've learned from Denis Diderot, one habit can fit into many others. So it's very, very important that we're careful what sort of habits that we compound. And I think I spoke about this in chapter 5 as well. Being very, very, very careful with the way that we compound habits. It's a real life pattern, guys. And I think just because of how important this, I want to read just a little bit of the book. Diderot's behavior is not uncommon. I'm reading from page 73. In fact, the tendency for one purchase to lead to another one has a name: the Diderot effect. The Diderot effect states that obtaining a new possession often creates a spiral of consumption that leads to additional purchases. And he's saying that many human behaviors follow this cycle. I'm going to add consciously or unconsciously, because when I buy a dress, I'm not like, it's just almost next to nature that I want shoes to go with it. You often decide what to do next based on what you have just finished doing. Going to the bathroom leads to washing and drying your hands, I hope. Which reminds you that you need to put dirty towels in the laundry. So you add laundry detergent to the shopping list, and so on. No behavior happens in isolation. Each action becomes a cue that triggers the next behavior. So guys, it's very important what habits we're forming. We've got to be intentional, basically. It's the moral of this point. Number 8, habit stacking flips the Diderot effect in your favor. So use what you already do to trigger what you want to do. And I'm hoping that what you already do is potentially a good habit. For example, he's given another simple formula. After the current habit, in bracket, I will the new habit, in bracket. And I'm going to look for where he's spoken about this. And he's called it habit stacking, a simple plan to overhaul your habits. Some of the examples that he gave in page 74, I'm reading from. Meditation. After I pour my cup of tea each morning, I will meditate for 1 minute. So let's not forget habit stacking. We're stacking the new habit on top of the current one that we've got going on. Exercise. After I take my work shoes, I will immediately change into my workout clothes. Gratitude. After I sit down to dinner, I will say one thing I'm grateful for that happened today. Marriage. After I get into bed at night, I will give my partner a kiss. Safety. After I put on my running shoes, I will text a friend or family member where I'm running and how long it will take. He's saying that the key is to tie desired behavior into something that you already do each day. Please, if it's a bad habit that you're currently doing, please don't stack it. Don't stack the bad habits. Don't stack no bad habits. We've talked about how we try to get rid of the bad habits, guys. We're talking about stacking new habits, okay? Just putting that out there. Number 9. Your cue must match. Number 9, your cue must match the frequency of your habits. Don't try to build a daily habit on a once a week cue. And let's not forget what we call the cue. The cue is the trigger for the habit. Success comes when your habits are tied to consistent everyday triggers. So consistent everyday cues. The timing is important, guys. You can't be forming a habit for something that you do once a year. We need that consistency in place. My final point, number 10, be specific and actionable. Set yourself up for success. Being specific leads to you being able to action those things that you've clearly written down. And what James is saying is that actually sets you up for success. It's not vague, it's clear. Vague habits get vague results. Specific cues plus clear intentions actually leads to real transformation. And one of the things that he said in his book is the first law of behavior change. The first law of behavior change is to make it obvious. I think I said that in either chapter 2 or chapter 3. We need to make the cue obvious so it's easy for us to sort of achieve those goals. And those are the 10 key things that I learned from this chapter. There's a lot of practical things I found in this chapter. The best way to start a new habit. It's very practical. It's very, very realistic. Writing your vision aligns with the Bible. I absolutely love it. It's something that I do, and I encourage everybody to do it. Write your vision down. Make it clear, guys. Just before I go, as I do for every episode, I'm going to talk about my favorite quote from this chapter 5. And it says, if we have hope, we have a reason to take action. Guys, let's not forget that Christ in us, the hope of glory. So if we have Christ, we have a reason to take action as believers. Believers, we should always have hope. Our hope should always lie in Christ. So we always have a reason to act. Guys, don't just pray for better habits. Let's be practical. Put those practical things in place. Stack them with the current good habits you already got going on, not the bad ones. Be specific, be intentional. You know, my theme for this year is intentionality. I'm intentionally chasing after God. I'm intentionally protecting my peace. I'm intentionally forming new habits. I'm doing new things. I've started Pilates. I'm walking. I'm writing a bit more. You know, it's a year of intentionality, guys. And I just pray that God will give you the grace to follow through with whatever it is that you're trying to build. Just before I go, guys, as well, you know I always do this, the chapter summary. I'm reading from page 79, the chapter summary. The first law of behavioral change is making it obvious. Number 2, the 2 most common cues are time and location. Don't forget that simple formula that we talked about. Number 3, creating an implementation intention is a strategy you can use to pair a new habit with a specific time and a location. Number 4, the implementation intention formula is I will bracket behavior at bracket time in bracket location. Number 5, habit stacking is a strategy you can use to pair a new habit with a current one. And the final point, number 6, the habit stacking formula is after current habit, I will bracket new habit. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Thank you very, very much, guys, for joining. And as I've prayed previously, I pray that God will continue to give you guys the grace to follow through with whatever new habits that you're trying to form. And stick around. Next week, we're going to be talking about chapter 6, motivation is overrated, environment often matters more. Looking forward to speaking to you all. Speak soon. Bye.